Yo. Yo. Good morning, everyone. Oh, jeez. Good morning. Got a good show for today. Little mix of everything. AI, games, and big tech. But we're gonna start with the video again today. It's the way to warm up a bit. The juice is flowing. Watch this here. Police spend 40% of their time on paperwork. Can AI help? This free thing channel's cool. They do a lot of like emerging tech videos in interesting industries. Ooh, she's need to wake up. Yeah, let's watch this. Let me mute this stuff.
Education, the art, transportation,
right.
Healthcare, education, the arts, finance. AI is quickly reaching into nearly every aspect of our lives, including what for many is a concerning development: AI's increasing proliferation in public safety. Axon, one of
Also privacy. That's what I was gonna say.
Public safety. Axon, one of the most prominent suppliers of public safety technology in the United States, has for years been steadily deploying AI through both existing and new products. These products give police officers powerful new...
What? Is that a thing? Is it like if they hold up their body cam, it like automatically generates that like back at home or like in their vehicle?
There's powerful new capabilities.
Also, just totally leak that person's driver's license.
Live language translation through their body cameras, automatic license plate recognition of multiple lanes of traffic at once through in-vehicle cameras, and the transcription of audio and video evidence into court-ready documents in just minutes. Their newest product, Draft One, which can generate the first draft of a police report using body-worn camera audio, promises to reduce the strain of paperwork on officers' time, freeing them up to be out on the street. But with these capabilities come concerns about ethical product development, bias, and accountability. We sat down with Rick Smith, CEO and founder of Axon.
Oh, come on.
He makes the case for a tech company like Axon's ability to make positive change on difficult problems in a responsible way.
Together, we can create a safer tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know about this guy. We'll see what he has to say.
We tend to look at ourselves as the tech company that'll do hardware, software, AI, focused on how do we make the world less dangerous? How do we prevent, deter violence? How do we keep people accountable? And ultimately, how do we deal with the ugly problems in modern society to build the world that we want to live in? The way we're generally approaching AI is we try to focus on areas where, okay, where can we guard band the risks? And how can we use AI not to autonomously do things that could adversely impact a person, but how can we use it to do more of the mundane work so that we can bring human ethics and judgment well-focused where it's needed. An enormous amount of the resources that are invested in policing are actually consumed with mundane, bureaucratic, inefficient tasks.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the worst part. And I know for a fact that certain things are not pursued because they don't want to do paperwork too. Like maybe they will do like go forward with charging someone with a crime, but there's too much paperwork involved, so they don't. But arguably that's almost like a checks and balances too, in a way. Like I don't know if that's a bad thing, I guess.
Tasks.
Because I think it's more so them actually responding. I feel like it's okay. Yeah, you could free them up, but like, what are they gonna like now start just like pursuing petty crimes now? I feel like though the idea is to free them up to pursue more like publics, like to help people more in terms of like going after the hard, like the more top tier crimes versus like free them up to just do petty shit now. Like I don't know, it's like if they have too much time on their hands, like I feel like that's not a good thing in a way. Like just like why you want to put your kid in sports or, you know, have them do activities. It's like, I don't know, when you have too much time, you sometimes just do dumb shit, and I don't want that happening with people who have weapons.
And as a result, we see officers that are burned out, agencies that are having a hard time retaining people, cases that go into the criminal justice system that are perhaps not really well prepared. You know, there's a lot of people who sit in jail just waiting for the system to catch up to them. And that's where we think AI can really shine.
Yeah, and like that's partly true, but also like I that's like a big thing to like say like would be they would fix, I guess, like just having like reports done and stuff, like maybe, I don't know. These are big claims.
What kind of framework does Axon use, if any, to ensure products are being made responsibly with societal values and community input in mind?
We have an EEAC, which is an Equity and Ethics Advisory Council, and its job is to give us feedback from those people we wouldn't naturally talk to. Basically, ring the alarm bell for me and for our product managers on, hey, here are the risks. And I'll tell you, when we first started doing this, it's a little frustrating because policing can be somewhat divisive. And frankly, on our advisory council, we have a lot of people who are very critical of policing. It also allows us
I'd like to see what who's on that advisory council. I wonder. All right, we'll look after I have it up here.
Legitimately better. It's better for everybody, including us, if we build our products the right way so that they're accepted.
Tell me about some of the kind of specific AI-enabled tools that Axon is making.
We've already launched our first major AI product called Draft One. Draft One is an AI tool that takes the audio from a body camera, we turn that into a transcript, and then from that transcript, we reformat that information into the form of a police report narrative, which is the long description of what actually happened in an incident. Without Draft One, police officers spend about half of their working days writing reports. Now, that's a necessary task, but it does not add value to their mission of public safety. It is a heavy overhead of their work of a police report narrative, which is the long description of what actually happened in an incident. Without Draft One, police officers spend about half of their working days writing reports. Now, that's a necessary task, but it does not add value to their mission of public safety. It is a heavy overhead load, and what we're doing is we're just helping them take the information from the words that they said and what they heard in a body camera and pre-formatting the draft, preparing it for their review. Another one we're working on, from the words that they said and what they heard in a body camera and pre-formatting the draft, preparing it for their review. Another one we're working on.
Yeah. It's, I mean, the words that they said, that's, I mean, that's interesting. Oh, like, I wonder what that looks like.
Using AI to help investigators sort through the mountains of digital evidence. So if you're a prosecutor and you're dealing with a critical case, you may have 6 body cameras, 3 in-car cameras, thousands of photos. That's again a place where we see AI can help sort through all of that information, connect it conceptually to what's in the report. How do we tag that to the moments in video that are most relevant, and help those investigators know where to focus their time?
What do you think some of the risks of deploying this kind of technology are? and how are you working to mitigate those risks?
So I think the number one risk is that you get a police officer on the stand who says, look, I didn't write that, an AI wrote that. That's the biggest.
That's his biggest risk, bro. That's the biggest risk he could think of. Okay, dude.
Concern that prosecutors are worried about. And so we spend a lot of time like building safeguards and frankly speed bumps that cause them to slow down and have to review things.
That's the whole point of the paperwork. I feel like what I was kind of saying in the beginning, like it's almost like a checks and balances in a way. Like when you go fast, you get sloppy sometimes. I feel like the biggest safety, like the risks, is more so it not transcribing the something in the right way, or it something coming out with bias, or it not writing like factual information. His worry is losing the court case because the police losing the court case because they said that an AI wrote it when they're probably not wrong.
We tune this very carefully to make sure that the AI does not inject any imagination or hallucination. It does not inject any information. Everything must be based on words that were in the transcript. And if not, we instruct the AI to be very conservative. If it does not have high confidence that anything is going in there is accurate, it is to insert a question. They're going to see a bunch of insert statements like the subject was insert height tall, and they're bracketed in a way to help you find them. We've designed this in a way where you cannot do anything with the draft report until you have fixed and answered all the questions in the insert statements.
Just delete them. Like what's stopping them from just like not just deleting them?
How do you think AI could strengthen accountability and community trust in public safety?
When agencies roll out body cameras, one of the things they tell us is, okay, we now need a way to go through and spot check what people are doing. So historically, they've just done this with random video audits. What our priority rank video tool does is it allows the agency to tune what the things are they'd like to see. A great example is anytime the gun comes out of the holster, well, we can detect that. Or we can use the transcripts now, thanks to AI, to look for keywords or even key concepts. Things like, if a video scores that there's any sort of swearing or racial epithets, that could get a very high score. Basically, the high scored videos are the ones that are going to be reviewed. I think just between those two, we'd probably find the vast majority of where there's likely to be either bad behaviors that need to be corrected, or frankly, good behaviors that need to be.
I like how he's like, yeah, the racial one is just probably the biggest one. That's going to be the most where we could find. That's like, no did I hear, like, let me actually go back. Did I hear that right?
If a video scores that there's any sort of swearing or racial epithets, that could get a very high score. And basically, the high scored videos are the ones that are going to be reviewed. I think just between those two, we'd probably find the vast majority of where there's likely to be either bad behaviors that need to be corrected, or
I'm assuming it's like that and the gun coming out of the holster, but that's crazy. They just straight up admits that, okay, yeah, they're pulling their gun when they shouldn't, and they're yelling or swearing and saying racial things at people. Like, come on, I mean,
need to be rewarded and built upon and potentially shared with others in the agency on how to do it right. I would say to anybody living in the world today, you should be playing with, experimenting, using AI. It's really hard to have a good opinion on something you're ignorant of. Challenge yourself, learn a little about it, because I don't think that there's any aspect of human society right now that is not going to be changed. We spend a lot of time thinking about what can go wrong.
Fair.
We also need to think about, hey, what could go right? Or the things we're talking about, let's not compare them to perfection. Can we do better than today? That feels like that can be done, and you can do it thoughtfully, and that's what we aspire to do.
Bro, we just watched an ad. We just watched a fucking 8-minute ad on this shit, bro. In partnership with Axon? Bro, we just watched an 8-minute ad on this shit, bro. Yeah, bro, Minority Report. I can't believe I just watched an 8-minute ad on Axon. Yeah. Dislike, bro. You fucking tricked me. What do you think? I liked you. Alright, actually, I was gonna watch this, but I kind of want to watch it now. Microsoft had their kind of bro, YouTube has been like lagging like this for me for like weeks now. It's kind of annoying. Microsoft Ignite, it's kind of like the equivalent of Apple's like Worldwide Developer Conference and kind of all the new stuff Microsoft's releasing. They had that the other day. I didn't cover anything. I didn't cover some stuff because nothing was crazy. The only thing that was kind of neat was there's some new chip stuff for AI, like data driven, yeah, like DPU. But let's watch it. I think it'll be interesting.
You know, we continue to invest in security. You can see the updates we are making, tons and tons of announcements that you'll hear about. Across the security stack. The one thing, though, I want to point out is Purview. It's probably the product for this conference, because in the age of AI, data governance takes on an even more critical, central, important role.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's true. You know, data governance is kind of more so like the management of data, who has access, the quality, a lot of things like that. And especially with AI, I mean, you kind of need to, if you're a corporation wanting to build your own, like, I mean, if you don't have data governance, in place, you're just kind of a rough time, and the quality is just not going to be there. Whoops.
And in Purview, we're introducing updates to prevent everything from oversharing, risky use of AI, such as malicious intent detection, prompt injections, misuse of protected material. So there's a lot in Purview. And today, I'm really excited to announce our zero-day quest. This is the first big announcement that I'm excited about, because
slow claps.
It's a new
bro, don't event. Stop, bro. They're not clapping enough for you to stop the presentation, bro. Come on, keep moving.
There will be $4 million in rewards focused on securing cloud and AI. It's the highest rewards of any public hacking event in the industry. And the quest starts today and will culminate in an in-person hacking event next year. So we're very excited about it. You know, Copilot is the UI.
But I mean, like, realistically, too, it's like, it's probably cheap. To hand it to the market is probably cheaper than them to figure it out internally. So they're just like, yeah, we'll just give it to the market and see what they could do with it. Yeah, I need to check my audio real quick. Hello. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. We're good.
UI for AI. It's rapidly becoming an organizing layer for work and how work gets done.
Is it?
Every employee will have a co-pilot that knows them, their work, helping them unlock productivity, enhancing creativity, and saving time. And Copilot Studio will allow you to create agents that automate business processes. And every IT department will have a control system to manage, secure, and measure impact. That's it. Those are the three basic concepts of the
manage, secure, and measure impact
Copilot ecosystem. Today,
I do wonder what their that agent kind of creating the agents and frameworks. I wonder what that's like. I wonder if it's free. I just don't think it's as interesting as the more custom ones are. I just feel like it's definitely made more towards businesses and problem solving within businesses, like customer service and that that kind of stuff, I don't feel like it's as like custom as some of the other tools, but
Really excited to announce Copilot Actions. With,
the crowd,
with these
that's like,
actions, you can use Copilot to reduce the amount of time you spend on repetitive, everyday tasks that you do. In fact, the best way to
can you like show it? Like they just show a screen with some
conceptualize
text.
actions is for those of you who used Outlook rules. This is Outlook rules for the age of AI. And it works across the entire M365 system, not just in Outlook, right? So it automates everything from asking for, let's say, a status update from your team, compiling weekly reports, to scheduling emails.
Message. Okay, let's see. Let's break this down. Message these people to collect this thing and send a summary over email by Friday. That's interesting. I see now how this would be useful, but I guess I'm just thinking about it where if you just tell your employees, like, hey, message me a product status update by December 20th in a meeting you already have, like, I don't know about, I just don't know.
Requesting feedback on a document. Actions are a very simple.
So the AI is not even writing the message. So is this just a
update from your team?
So they wrote this out and then it just transforms it into
scheduling.
So is this Teams or is this Copilot?
Emails, requesting feedback on a document. Actions are a very simple but yet powerful way for you to scale.
That doesn't seem like, that was a horrible example because that's a one-time thing. They just put it to a specific date. I want to see something that's actually reoccurring.
What you do, right? So whatever was the thing that you had to do multi-step, you just create one of these actions and it just does it for you. And we're not stopping there. And today we're introducing new agents you can use within the context of your team. Again, the best way to think about these are as just your teammates. They're scoped to specific roles with very specific permissions, just like we have permissions and roles. For example, a facilitator agent is someone you can add to your team's meeting, and the facilitator will help keep the meeting focused, moderate the meeting, chats, as well as the follow-up and action items. Our project manager agent in Planner will help automate, in fact, all the key steps in a project management workflow.
Yeah, see, the problem though already is that it only, if you're fully bought into the Microsoft ecosystem and you use all of their tools, like for example, my previous job, we used Teams, but we used a different non-Microsoft software product for project managers and program managers and such. And so like this wouldn't work like this. And so, yeah, they really want you to be bought into every part of Microsoft.
So it'll create a new plan.
And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I'm sure there's like pricing to think about. There's a lot of things to think about, I guess, for that. It's just Microsoft just wants to lock you in, I guess. That is kind of bad, but if as a business, if it solves your problems, then I mean, it's just something you'll have to consider.
From scratch, it'll help oversee what's happening across the project, task assignments, content creation. And next is even self-service agents, right? So for these agents provide really useful information, answer questions on policy.
I'm just looking over here on the Copilot, the agents. And I do think from my own experience, maybe I'll look into this later, but the agents perform better the more specific the task, or like if it's like a just a small list of tasks like this project manager. Maybe it's like, you know, you give them like 3 or 4 things to do as the project manager, and then they just do that. And then if you need to kind of expand that, you either make like an assistant or something else that the project manager maybe could, I don't know if you could like delegate things, but that they could then pass on or something. But the larger the scope, the harder it seems that the it is for them to perform the task well, or actually like be factual and be correct in it. The like larger the larger the task, or the more complex the task, it's just that likely they're not gonna complete it as well. And just from my experience, it's shrinking it down. It seems like it's kind of doing it where it's like they like a planner in, you know, an event one's service. When we have designer, like these are definitely jobs, roles. Realistically though, like to even be even better, it'd be you'd make like a designer, and then you'd make like assistants, and then the assistants, the designer assistant or the designer, you know, this is the senior designer, and the other ones are associate designers. However you want to structure it, then the designer could delegate like other tasks to the associate designers who may have a specific skill in like one thing. So it's like one of them is just like coloring or something, and then the other's just maybe UI, or, you know, and then you could kind of combine it all. I feel like that's kind of the future, especially as like we have more generalized models right now where they're just good at kind of the average of everything, you know. And especially in the future when you have more specific models, for this is mainly just generative AI and coding and such text. When you have more specific models, then you could delegate to agents that are using a specific model. And I'm very bullish on agents. I think that's the agents framework is kind of going to be the future in the near term, and it's going to help us solve some more problems. Yeah, I do like agents a lot.
Policies.
I'm experimenting with them. I think I might do a demo stream. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow's kind of like my Friday. And kind of show off what I've been working on.
But not just that. When it comes to HR and IT, these agents will help you complete the task. Think of these as just augmenting your HR and IT departments.
Yeah, HR, I read somewhere that, I mean, HR is probably going to be the first to go in corporations based off of this stuff. Like, I mean, most of HR is, you know, asking questions, them searching it's asking questions about rules and things, or, you know, more interpersonal problems, which could very easily be solved by a large language model. And also, you know, referencing things like like the employee handbook and such, like, which could easily, that's perfect use case for AI, for like large language models, especially for things like HR. Sorry, HR employees, but yeah.
And we're also announcing SharePoint agents. Every SharePoint site will now have a built-in agent. These agents provide instant access to real-time information.
Like, I wonder what the cost is, and I wonder what Microsoft's cost is. Like, how much are they, like, on average, you know, like I wonder what the cost is for Microsoft. Actually, even for the company, you know, I just wonder if Microsoft's profiting. Like, there's so much shit going on behind the scenes, like with how much, like, if every person has an agent at a corporation, and every like SharePoint site, there could be, you know, if you use it for like internal sites, it could be, you know, you could have a lot of websites I wonder how much it costs.
And insights from your knowledge base in the flow of your work.
Because they don't break it out in their earnings enough to understand, but yeah.
We're also giving you the
Also, NVIDIA earnings today. We'll take a look tomorrow.
ability to easily create your own Copilot or your own agents using Copilot Studio. You know, sometimes we sort of mystify these agents as things that, you know, somehow require a lot of effort to build. But it's really pretty straightforward. In fact, our vision is that it should be as simple as creating a Word doc or a PowerPoint slide or an Excel spreadsheet. That's it. Like when you say agent, think creating a doc. Today,
I mean, I want to see what it looks like because yeah, I feel like for it to solve simple problems, it'll be pretty straightforward, but that's just not even that's very like basic, I guess, and they could do much more than just like simple things, kind of like they're doing. But I guess we have to remember this is in the context of like a business and employee mainly. So yeah,
we are very excited to announce Copilot Analytics. Yeah.
Waits for the clap.
You know, if you take, let's say,
they're like, should we clap? I mean, is this cool? Like, I don't even know what it is.
A sales territory manager. So they can now correlate the specific Copilot usage to a business metric. Like,
this is interesting because this is a way for them to justify that AI is helping. That this is all that is. They need the businesses, I'm sure, were like, yeah, okay, we're doing this stuff, but like, how do we know it's actually making things better? We're speeding things up. And think about this from the employee perspective, where, you know, you may be getting extra time because you're doing things faster, but are you actually using that time to spend doing other things at your job, like for the business? Most of the time, I would say probably not. And I feel like this is now a way for companies to see whether or not it's like actually making you more efficient, and then in turn kind of turning it back on you, and employee be like, okay, well, like you've, you know, increased this, or, you know, you've dropped time down from doing this. Like, well, what are you doing with your time now?
Like their win rate over time, right? And it's not just Copilot, it's Copilot and all the agents that you built, Copilot usage to a business metric, like their win rate over time.
Top Copilot features used by employees with favorable business outcomes. Summarize meetings. Like, how could you track that though? Summarize meetings with Copilot. I'm not seeing anything that's employee specific, as in like a check specific employees. It says filter by organization. I really hope that they don't. That's like spying on employees is just crazy.
Right? And it's not just Copilot, it's Copilot and all the agents that you built. You can look at their usage and start tuning even the usage to the business KPIs. Right? Our goal is to show how Copilot usage is ultimately directly translating into business outcomes across sales, marketing, finance, and more. Today, we are announcing, in fact, Windows app is coming to Android. We're excited about that. We're announcing mobile application management.
Windows app on
sales,
Android? What is
marketing,
that?
Finance, and more. Today, we are announcing, in fact, Windows app.
For what?
Is coming to Android. We're excited about that. We're announcing mobile application management. I know this is something that IT has wanted for.
I thought they had that. I thought they had that where I think this is more like never mind.
And it's both to iOS.
I swear they had a way to kind of do the option to like wipe portions of like or like they partition your device like where like Teams is, so you can't like share things outside of Teams on your personal phone. But I think this is probably different.
and Android. This means any employee can work on Windows 365 even on their personal devices, like this iPad, because your corporate apps and files stay secure,
That's
all
cool.
managed on the cloud PC. I'm really thrilled to announce Windows 365 Link. You can see it right here.
yeah, up there on stage.
It's a simple, secure, purpose-built device for Windows 365. It's admin-less, password-less, and security configurations are enabled by default and cannot be turned off.
I was just gonna say, I was like, man, I'm excited for someone to get a hold of this and like put Linux on it or like flash a different, firmware, get something else running on it. And like, I wonder how hard it will be, and I wonder how much they cost.
Windows 365 Link expands the PC category or the cloud PC category.
Yeah, and cloud PC is like, I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I guess it just doesn't seem that cost effective. I know for things like vendors, it's good to have them so they could access your network, and like essentially a computer on your network. But like for every employee, like I just don't know how cost effective it is. Maybe for like if you're not doing like crazy like Excel stuff or like engineering stuff, like for sales or something. I mean, even sales do like pretty complex spreadsheet stuff. Yeah, really, it just seems like if you're just like answering emails, writing like Word documents, and just using like a browser, then it maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
By connecting you directly to your productivity in the cloud with no data or information left on any device. And I'm also pleased to say that it's going to be available in April of next year. So really looking forward to it. In addition, we are excited to announce this new Windows Resiliency Initiative. Super important. We are doubling down on our commitment to make Windows secure and reliable for customers for all their mission-critical workloads. As part of this work,
consumers?
We are making changes to low-level operating system access. We're introducing new features in partnership with...
I'm so over Windows. Like, I'm so over Windows.
The entire ecosystem.
I just feel stuck. I would even consider an Apple, but I would just feel stuck there too, because at least with Windows, like it's kind of I don't even want to say open because it's not, but Apple, like there's good software in Apple, but I will just never be able to use it anywhere besides an Apple device. I think that's it. Yeah, it's more so the Apple device. Like at least with Windows, I could build my own computer and put Windows on it. I can't do that with Apple. If I could do that with Apple, actually, I would probably consider switching, because I do think that they have a generally better experience in their software. The independent software scene on Apple, on Mac is miles better. And I wish it was similar on Windows, but yeah, and I don't know what they would have to do, but I'm kind of over Windows. I'm been over Windows for Windows 11 kind of, I think, just kind of burnt me out of Windows. I'm ready for something new, but we'll see.
Establishing new guidelines for safe deployment practices. One example of this.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Yep.
Which is, I think, something that is really exciting is Windows Hot Patch, which works across your entire Windows estate to apply critical security updates without requiring a restart. And today, we're going further and announcing Azure Local.
Azure Local.
This is again something that many of you have asked us to do, which is bring, Azure Arc all the way to all of the edge. With Azure Local, extends Azure services across hybrid, multi-cloud, and edge locations with one. Excited to announce our first in-house security chip, Azure Integrated HSM. This is
interesting.
It is a dedicated hardware security module that hardens key management,
HSM hardware
managing encryption and key signing, that can remain within the bounds of the device without
This is
compromising
interesting.
performance or security.
It's interesting because Microsoft is definitely buying these from like someone, and I do wonder what their incentive is. I mean, like, tougher security, but I wonder what the cost is, or what they project like they would save by doing it themselves. That's interesting. It just doesn't.
And starting next year, it'll be part of every new server deployed on Azure, enhancing security for both confidential computing as well as general purpose virtual machines and containers. So we are very, very excited about this new silicon innovation. Today, we are very excited about expanding Azure Boost with our first in-house
Yeah, this is
DPU.
interesting too.
And this is DPUs are processors specifically architected to accelerate data-centric workloads, absorbing multiple components of a traditional server into a single piece of silicon. It runs, in fact, cloud storage workloads at 3 times less power and 4 times the performance. I mean, what this will do for storage is what SmartNICs did for host and the network. These are going to do for storage. And today, we are announcing the preview of NVIDIA Blackwell AI infrastructure on Azure.
All right, this is NVIDIA's new chip that will provide 30 times more performance, I guess, on AI workloads, but with 3 times increase in power compared to the last one. But they, like I covered yesterday, they've been having overheating
pretty
issues.
Amazing.
So.
It's got the 72 GPUs on a single NVLink domain, and then you combine it with InfiniBand on the back end. These racks are optimized for the most cutting-edge training workloads and and inference workloads. So we are very excited about having Blackwell.
I wonder who they're
and today
getting it
we're
from.
introducing,
They're buying it from
in fact,
Dell.
Azure HBV5, which we co-engineered with AMD.
Oh, interesting.
It's up to 8 times faster than any other cloud virtual machine, setting a new standard for high-performance computing, and it'll be generally available next year. And we are very excited to announce that we are bringing our flagship operational database, SQL Server, natively to Fabric with Microsoft Fabric databases.
Interesting. I wonder what this means.
Just like Fabric simplified every aspect of an organization's analytical needs, we want to do the same for operational databases.
They must already have. It must be a product already.
So now with Microsoft Fabric,
customers
have an enterprise data platform that serves all of their use cases, right? Whether it's batch data, real time, or even massive transactional performance, all in one unified product. And all of that data is in open source formats in Fabric's OneLake. And that's why we're building out a first-class app server for the AI age, announcing Azure AI Foundry.
All right. So we have Copilot Studio, Visual Studio, GitHub, Model Catalog, Foundational Models, Open Source Models, Task Models.
For the AI age, announcing Azure AI Foundry.
Azure AI Search, Agent Service, AI Search, Evaluation, Customization. Yeah, interesting.
With Foundry, we are unifying all of our models, tooling, safety, and monitoring solutions into a single experience, integrated with the most popular developer tools available as a standalone SDK and a portal. It all starts, in fact, with our approach to models. We know models and model choice obviously sit at the core.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't know Databricks has a model. They're big in data warehousing. I've been using Mistral AI lately, and it's been pretty good.
We want to be able to optimize for COGS, latency, and performance.
I need to try
Nemo,
help you choose
that right
Nemo.
model for the right job. In fact, we now have 1,800 models in our catalog.
Really?
In addition to our own offerings, we're also announcing new collaboration to help developers accelerate this model customization. From data prep and generation to training, eval, experimentation with fine-tuned models, these are all the considerations of an app server. Our work with Gretel Labs and Scale AI helps developers introducing a new service to help you simplify
This is what I'm curious about, because the AI agents is what I'm looking
the
forward to.
creation of all of these AI-powered agents, right? Our new agent service helps developers build, deploy, and scale AI apps that automate business processes. You know, I showed you before how you can use Copilot Studio to build agents just with a few clicks. But as developers, you want a code-first approach to building an agent, and that's what the agents.
Wait, this is so fitting. I'm gonna interrupt this. I literally had this. This is Steve Ballmer right here. I literally had a thing I was gonna showcase with Steve Ballmer. I didn't even realize the connection. developers, and then we got his successor right here.
Service really enables. You can build agents that are grounded in data wherever it lives, public data from the web, enterprise data in Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or you can leverage even Fabric's One Lake to unify your data across all of your clouds. And
yeah, this is still too much enterprise
actions, right? So you want to be able to give
stuff.
action space to these agents, and you can take that, you know, 1,200 plus connectors we have in Logic apps that we have been using as in our app services, and you can connect it to the agent runtime. And that's why
that's where the powerfulness of agents come in, when you could connect it to other services and allow them to like talk to services like like I could give them access to a search engine, and then I could give them access to a web browser, and then they could search stuff with a search engine and then pull the links and then put that into a web browser and browse the page. Like, that's where agents are powerful. I mean, it's kind of lame for like scheduling meetings and stuff, but I guess that works
we're bringing
for now.
Really new management capabilities to Foundry. For example, we're introducing AI reports that'll help developers document and share their application's use case, and most importantly, eval results. Because I think one of the ways we're going to be able to think about and talk about and reason about what your application does is through the evals of the models on which it's built. Safety is the most important feature of any AI app, and we'll continue to ensure we have the best tools to build these secure AI apps, including things like Prompt Shield, and so that you can detect and block manipulation of outputs for your business content.
Yeah, like that exists already, I guess. Like, that's nothing crazy. Like in the open source framework I use, they have moderation where you could assign other AI models to moderate the agents and assign certain rules, do whatever. So I mean, I don't know,
today,
something crazy.
Also, we're announcing risk and safety evaluations for
this is
image
interesting
content.
for
That's
images,
become a very important consideration right in Foundry. And today, I'm really thrilled to announce yet another milestone, this time with atom computing. We just doubled the previous record, creating a machine of 24 logical qubits. I mean, to just kind of put this in perspective, like these logical qubits are all entangled, making it the foundation for the world's most powerful quantum machines. And to give you a sense for why this matters, if you had 100 of these reliable qubits, you will have scientific quantum advantage, could be achieved. And so this is, then that'll unlock, as you can imagine, the computing power to go solve some of the most pressing challenges we have.
Yeah, like AI. I mean, quantum computing would be insane to get. And I do want to cover it here more on stream, but there's just not that much news going on right now with it, with Brain Tech. All right, that's Microsoft, their developer conference. I mean, it's very enterprisey stuff, but it's still interesting because this is actually, AI being used in the business is kind of not talked about as much versus a lot of the more consumer focused AI tools. So I think how it's being used in businesses to make people faster, more productive is interesting to see. So yeah, and Microsoft, has, large stake, 49%, I think. I don't know if that's changed in OpenAI, and all of this is built on top of OpenAI models. So yeah, it's interesting. Interesting times. Not a good dislike ratio, I guess. Interesting times. All right, let's cover. I have a few gaming topics real quick, and then we'll jump into some tech news. I just thought this was funny because I don't know if this is real or not, but I don't even know, bro. Like, this is so funny. Like, Minecraft movie director reveals that Jack Black was as method as it gets while playing Steve, as he got obsessed with searching for lapis lazuli during filming breaks. Like, bro, come on, dude. Like, also just fitting that Microsoft owns Minecraft, so here we go, keep it on topic. Every time I hear something new about Minecraft, it surprises me, but one that definitely hasn't, that Jack Black got so absorbed in his role that he went on lapis lazuli rampage. How do you even method act as Steve? Steve is just the base. It's like, I feel like it's like just a normal dude. Like, that's Steve. Imagine method acting for Minecraft, bro. Like, this is a meme. Like, you're like running like back haulers and shit, like for in your backyard, like digging and stuff, like using like pickaxes and axes and shovels, like you're using like tools. According to film director Jared Hess, Jack Black was as method as it gets. Instead of sending dead spiders to his co-workers, Black decided to immerse himself in Minecraft at every spare moment. He was in his trailer anytime he had a break. He was slaying it in the overworld. The producer and Minecraft senior director, Torfi Franz Olafsson, probably these names, put together a special server just for the crew. Jack got obsessed with searching for lapis lazuli, as he calls it. I mean, every day it was like I'd pop in there, go over the scene in the morning, and he would be dressed as Steve playing the game. Oh, it was like kind of surreal thing to behold. Method acting equals playing Minecraft. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's like, it's like I don't even know how. You'd be wearing the outfit playing Minecraft. Dude, yeah. I don't know if that makes you Steve. Yeah, that's funny. He's like an empty page you write your story on. That was also an opportunity. So casting Jack Black as Steve, maybe you hadn't imagined Jack Black as Steve, but this is the Steve who is Jack Black, if you know what I mean, because I'm Steve and you're Steve. Exactly, everyone's Steve. I thought this was funny. Like, bro, come on. Bro, come on. This is interesting though. The Steam controller, which I never actually got the original one. I guess the Steam controller 2, they're making another Steam controller. Yeah, and it's like this is weird. Their little trackpad thing was odd, but I don't know, it's Valve. Yeah, the original Steam controller, which has been defunct now for half a decade, had a rocky start. Well, perhaps not so much rocky as controversials, having a plethora of diehard fanboys and fangirls, but also more than a smattering of detractors, including very own hardware overlord Dave James. Now someone shields Dave's ears. There's talk of a second iteration being already being in mass production. It's interesting because you know that Valve is very good at player testing and like putting it in the hands of players. So I wonder how much they tested the old controller before, like with actual people before releasing it. Like, this just looks bad. Like, I didn't even realize how bad the old one looks. Code name for Steam Controller 2 is Ibex, separate product from Deckard's Roy controllers. Who's Deckard's? Both are being tooled for mass production goal in their factories right now. That's why I know they're in later stages of productization. That's interesting. Valve's Roy controllers have at least, so the Roy controllers must be like the Nintendo Switch's type of controllers, like their Joy-Cons for the Steam Deck, maybe. For their headset. Remember the long swirling rumors about Valve's standalone Deckard VR headset, the one that could be an unexpected Meta Quest-like wireless alternative to the aging Valve Index? Lynch has discovered references to a new wand-like Roy controller in Valve's Steam VR code. And the sources say that Roy is now aimed at mass production as well. Oh. What's more, Roy may have enough buttons to double as a Steam controller gamepad when it is not acting as your hands in VR. Unlike index wands, they'll apparently have a D-pad, bumpers, and a full set of ABXY buttons for traditional gaming as well. I'm confident in this info based on data mining and sources who wish not to be named. There's also an unreleased OpenXR extension for these controllers. XR Valve Roy interaction. Wow. Presumably Valve would ship the unannounced Deckard headset at the same time as its Roy wands. I'm curious how it's evolved since the patent drawings. I wonder what the patent drawings. I thought that Valve was working on a higher end headset that's more like AR, like augmented reality focus, kind of with the trend. Valve hasn't confirmed any of this, of course. When was this written? Oh, this is yesterday, okay. It tends to wait until it's ready to show near complete product before surprise announcing everything at once. Yeah. It did also partner with Hori, an officially licensed Steam gamepad that's coming into the US, but not really a proper successor. Jesus, bro, this thing is ugly too. Although I do think this is like the more Xboxy layout, and I think I prefer the Xbox controller layout. I think I do. I honestly just don't use a controller enough to even like have a preference really, but I think the Xbox is good. Oh, this is interesting. Wired. I wonder what the I wish we could see the new one. What would it even look like? Yeah. But interesting. New Steam controller coming. Maybe new headset, which is interesting. I would like to see Valve though. Maybe like branch out a bit from like gaming in terms from their headset, because they just build good hardware in general. Like in recent years, I guess like the Index is great, the Steam Deck is great. They've been doing really good with hardware, and I'd love for them to yeah, just market a bit more towards non-gaming and more just like productivity VR stuff, because I do think that they have a like they're just good at that, and like competing with Meta and the big tech companies that aren't really friendly to users. I mean, honestly, Valve isn't even necessarily friendly to users, but ones that at least have nefarious intentions. I think Valve would benefit from that. But yeah, it's interesting. And also not making things I guess the controller doesn't really matter, but I guess not branding things necessarily as Steam, but more so Valve, because Steam is just game focused, you know, and then Valve is more software-y, techy, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, interesting. I thought this was interesting too. And kind of extends the live service. What am I trying to say? Sony essentially saying that the upside to live services are too good. Like, even though like Concord failed, it still was worth the risk in a way. This is kind of like continuing that, but in a different way, because I think BioWare is trying to do the Anthem or whatever, which was kind of a big live service game, and it obviously failed. And yeah, chasing live services and open world elements diluted BioWare's focus. Dragon Age Veilguard director says, discussing CO's return to its roots. Yeah, and it's interesting that maybe they couldn't adjust to it, or yeah, I don't know. Dragon Age the Veilguard's co-directors have discussed BioWare's push to return to its roots in-character focused single-player role-playing games after its recent struggles with both Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem. Oh, Anthem, not Anthem. Oh, I kept saying that. Was Mass Effect Andromeda a live service game? I didn't know that. Speaking on the My Perfect Console podcast, the Veilguard's directors, Corny Bush and John Epler, and said BioWare had been supported by publisher EA in returning to what the studio had always done best after seeing its focus diluted by chasing industry trends. I'm glad they're finally realizing that this shit has not been working for them. Yeah. Yeah, it's glad they noticed it, but you know, it's like hopefully it's not too late. And I'm glad that EA supported that. Like, felt very supported through this by BioWare and EA, Bush said on Dragon Age, the Veilguard's development. And I'll tell you, it's intimidating to buck the trends in an era where it feels like almost every game must be an open world. It's been able to say, you know, what that looks like for those titles. For us, the way in which we tell the best stories and stay true to our roots, a more handcrafted, intimate solution is appropriate. And just to have that support from within around getting back to those elements we do best was fantastic. Yeah, I don't think it's too late for them. Dragon and Veilguard is pretty struggling. Okay, that's what I was just thinking. Like, I wonder if like it was in terms of money, like if they actually like profited. That's good. Epler, a BioWare veteran of 17 years, said the studio's focus with the Veilguard had been a deliberate push to return to its very real strength in character building and storytelling after the projects that maybe didn't center that strength as well as they could have. Dang, it's like so overcast today. I feel like it's so random, but yeah, I feel like we're getting an atmospheric river here in the north. Oh yeah, it's pouring. Oh my god, bro, it's gonna rain for the next week straight. Holy shit, that's what I'm talking about, baby. Seattle weather. You know, I personally love Mass Effect Andromeda, but there's also a month of rain. Let's go. I love rain. We probably need it here, just in California in general. We'll send you some water down north or down south, don't worry. It's coming down there anyways. You know, I personally love Mass Effect Andromeda, but there was also, we had an open world that was big thing in the industry at the time, and that starts to dilute your focus, Epler said. Wait, was Mass Effect Andromeda like the open world kind of type with like life services and like kind of like continually like do like grindy stuff? Or I guess it was like a Starfield like type or whatever. I literally don't really know much about these games. Oh, that was the last Dragon Age? Okay. Andromeda would just say flop sequel to Mass Effect 3? Dang, okay. I remember this coming out, I just didn't know it did that bad. And I guess I thought it was just like I didn't realize it was kind of a life servicey kind of game. Or maybe it's not, but yeah. Or I guess like a more linear story type of game, not open world. For us, it was really understanding what is it that the people come to the studio to do. They work here for a reason, and they want to make big stories that allow you to be a big hero of your own creation, but also focus on characters and focus on that experience of living in a different world. Yeah. Beyond Broken on release, and just quite a few months after. Dang. I do remember that. Now that you say it, that sucks. For the Veilguard, we just wanted to get back to those things that made the studio what it was, that contributed to what I would call the golden age of BioWare. When there was a hit after hit being turned out, the Veilguard was a very conscious return to that with a focus on character storytelling and being just this really bombastic single-player RPG. Is Veilguard $70? I closed out of Steam. Dragon Age Veilguard had a decade-long on-off development, and at one point was set to include multiplayer elements until EA and BioWare changed track. Dang, resulting in a brilliant single-player RPG that ultimately released last month. Story ideas for the game lasted throughout that time. As can be seen, some of the Dragon Age Veilguard's earliest concept art, which has been shared online, but perhaps this shouldn't be too surprising. After all, as we found out, Dragon Age creator David Gator, BioWare knew the deepest secrets of Dragon Age lore 20 years ago and locked it away in an Uber plot document. What? A fantasy role-playing game of astonishing spectacle. This is the best Dragon Age and perhaps BioWare has ever seen. Interesting. Yeah, it's also interesting about how BioWare is just really good at these like narrative single-player games, and they do struggle with the kind of live service style games. It's interesting. And it sucks because, like, yeah, I mean, having a BioWare story in a large, you know, open worldy life servicey game would probably be good if they could pull it off, but yeah, it's hard. So out of the realm, I guess. Yeah, it sucks. And I do wonder, as a studio though, like, that really limits your opportunities, and like, I wonder how EA sees that. Like, if they do see, like, okay, BioWare could just keep making single player games as long as they're selling good, or if they're like, no, you guys need to adjust to the trends, or, you know, you risk closing you down. I don't know. Like, I wonder how much EA cares about that. And I guess we'll have to see next earnings, EA, because EA already had their earnings. How well Dragon Age does. You honestly think Veilguard's the reason EA is giving them permission to stick to this? Anthem was probably EA trying to force them, and it was a flop. Yeah. No, exactly. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, Veilguard's the reason. Yeah, it's interesting though. It's interesting. And I think though, what I worry though is that all of these AAA companies see, like, they give a new IP to a studio who may not be the best fit for the kind of game that they're developing, and then they see that as, oh, this new IP like isn't good and not popular, but realistically they kind of, like you're saying, like, forced it on a studio that may not have been the best fit for it, and so then they just like use that to kind of justify new IPs not doing well or something, and then they just kind of, I guess, come back to the old reliables. So I don't know. I hope this doesn't, like, I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't help the new IP, or like the risk taking with new IPs being more so, like, being more popular, I guess, or just happening more. Because I just feel like we're in the era of make shit that you just know people will buy because they always buy it. Why try something new when we could just make money doing this way? Minimize risk. Yep. Which is, I mean, but also it's why indie games are just, you know, I feel like we're in a great era of indie games, you know, because that's where all the new cool stuff is happening. So, you know, and I feel like it's kind of just, we get these very high production AAA games with pretty good stories and such, like, you know, I haven't played it, but I'm just, you know, generalizing, like Veilguard, maybe even like Cyberpunk. I mean, Starfield, like, you know, mixed feelings, a lot of people, but I mean, it's still like a AAA style, you know, large, huge open world game that like indie developers can't necessarily do with small teams. And so we kind of get that with the AAA, you know, the Call of Duties, Battlefields, and then the indie games is like more creative, you know, the more experimentation, less, they don't need a, you know, they could be more risky and such. And so I feel like we're just kind of, it's just, you're getting different things now from each category. Though what I worry though is that the popular indie game, the kind of the more AA developers kind of start to kind of just be more like though the AAA guys, and they kind of, I don't know, make the same game just like in different ways, and it kind of, they escape the experimentation a bit and trying new things. Yeah, I don't know, because I'm thinking about like Risk of Rain. Like, the games are great, I'm not saying that, but it's like, okay, they made Risk of Rain 1, Risk of Rain 2, Now they're probably going to make Risk of Rain 3 eventually. And then it's just kind of then they're going to eclipse the part where they're just becoming a bit more of a AAA, you know, doing the direction. And I'm thinking about Hyper Light Drifter. Yeah, I mean, not like Gearbox like owns them, yeah. But that's my point though. It's just like they kind of get eclipsed this, like, you know, where it's like they're not indie anymore, but then they kind of like have like more employees, and so they can't take as much risk, and then they're just on a trajectory to go AAA. And then they kind of like are this weird. I feel like the Hyper Light Drifter developers are doing something similar, where it's like they made Hyper Light Drifter, and then they're making the second one, and it's 3D, and then it's just like, okay, are they gonna make a third and just keep going? I don't know. This is like, yeah, I'm just kind of yapping, but yeah, it's interesting. I just wonder how indie game, these like AA developers, how they'll evolve, like if they'll stay kind of more indie gaming or kind of go the AAA route. So the Risk of Rain devs work at Valve now? Wait, I just saw it. I didn't understand what ROI. What? That's crazy. Dude, I literally saw something somewhere yesterday, the day before. They work on Deadlock? Holy shit. Where like a crazy amount of employees at Valve, like not a significant percentage, but like a large percentage of employees at Valve make over $1 million a year. Like, I was just like, what the heck? I was a video I was watching. I don't know if I could find it, but I wonder if it was I mean, look, the software engineer sits at 400K, bro. It's like not even close. It's so far off of like averages. I think this was it. But in the it's like the average revenue per employee is like it's so high because they don't even have that many employees. As of 2021, yeah, Valve employed just 79 people for Steam. Yeah, like the number of staff across the board seemingly explains why Valve's product list is limited. Valve's small staff is also something that's been sticking point for let's see, I'm gonna see if they have it. Yeah, the per employee profit was $15 million per year, which is crazy. 360 employees. This is in 2021. Our profitability per employee is higher than that of Google or Amazon or Microsoft. I wonder if they say pay though. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, bro. I look all the time, but like they're crazy. This is 2017. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, the part entry. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like you have to know someone to get in. But yeah. Crazy. Steve Ballmer, bro. I was like in Silicon Valley, there's this character, Action Jack Barker, and like I was watching Steve Ballmer, who's he was Microsoft CEO for like 14 years or something after Bill Gates. He's just such a character, and like I was like, dude, he literally seems like a character from like a show.
10 years owning the LA facts. Share with you the facts and data.
Even his voice just sounds funny. I don't know.
Or not working for you. Economists measure the economy by looking at what they call the gross domestic product, or GDP. It's the market value surge of 5.8% in.
And then like it's this guy.
Of success.
I invented that.
Like
And now
even
it's part of
sounds like
business
him.
Schools. You see what's on the bottom here? The foundation of the whole thing.
Growth?
Growth. The more brilliant people we can get working here, then the faster we can get whatever is in your head out into the world. Let me tell you a story. In 1999, Google was a little startup just like we are.
And that's like, I was like, dude, I swear, like Google, like 1999, it's like they based the character off of Steve Ballmer. I actually feel like they have.
During the recovery, and now to about 2.5% in 2023. In 2023, which is up 2% from 2022. While GDP is a pretty good way to measure how well the economy is doing for the US as a whole, it doesn't necessarily describe.
I watched one though, and it was funny because he would like intertwine in between. He'd be like, I think that's pretty cool. And like that's his addition to the thing. It's like, okay, Steve. It's about like the jobs, but yeah, anyways, it's funny. But this is cool though, this website. He started this, USA Facts, and it's a they just like report on like data in a factual way, which is interesting. And I think they pull it a lot from the government, because the government .gov government has a lot of data, and they actually make it available. But yeah, anyways, I thought that was funny. Just seemed very similar. All right, let's jump into some topics I have for today, which this one is this is the craziest one. I need to stand for this. Pokemon Go players have unwittingly trained AI to navigate the world. Essentially, Niantic has been, well, collecting data about people playing Pokemon Go, and now are training an AI based off the data they collected on the people playing the game to make a geospatial AI to navigate the real world, which is cool, but not cool that, you know, you unwittingly gave Niantic a bunch of data that they're going to use to train something. Niantic, the company behind the extremely popular augmented reality mobile games Pokemon Go and Ingress, I've never heard of this one, announced that it's using data collected by its millions of players to create an AI model that can navigate the physical world. Sounds cool in theory. But I do wonder, like, how, like, it seems very broad. Excuse me. But I guess we'll read, because like I guess like technically, yeah, exactly, that's what I'm trying to think of, where it's like technically self-driving is navigating the physical world, like how's, you know, like, but like that's different in this context. So I wonder what actually they're going to use it for, like how. In a blog post published last week, first spotted by Garbage Day, Niantic said it is building a large geospatial model. This name, the company explains, is a direct reference to large language models like OpenAI's GPT, which are trained on vast quantities of text scraped from the internet in order to process and produce natural language. Niantic explains that a large geospatial model, or LGM, large geospatial model, aims to do the same for the physical world. A technology it will enable, it says, will enable computers to not only perceive and understand physical spaces, but also interact with them in new ways, forming a critical component of AR glasses. Oh. In fields beyond, including robotics, content creation, and autonomous systems. As we move from phones to wearable technology linked to the real world, spatial intelligence will become the world's future operating system. Okay, let's go back. So it says computers that perceive and understand physical space, yeah, interact with them in new ways, formatting critical components of AR glasses. this is interesting. This is where I see it being used, this in robotics. Because AR glasses, I think the idea is it understands where you are, and so it could understand kind of the world around you too, which could maybe feed in information or allow you to kind of like stem off of that for, I don't know, use cases. And I think that with AR glasses, you need certain points of like reference and like and such to be able to kind of project things into the real world. But I figured that would be coming from the cameras on there. Like, I don't know why you'd need some sort of model, but yeah, interesting. By training an AI model on millions of geolocated images from around the world, the model will be able to predict its immediate environment in the same way an LLM will be able to produce coherent and convincing sentences by statistically determining what word is likely to follow another. Yeah, and I think about like a few weeks ago I covered that like Minecraft AI on stream. All it's doing is just predicting based off of thousands of, millions of hours of Minecraft gameplay. When you give an action, it just predicts what would happen next in Minecraft based off of all of the millions of hours, of gameplay that they kind of have done. And it seems like they're kind of trying to do that in the real world. So like, let's say you're walking and maybe you walk out of let's say you're in a parking garage and you walk out of a parking garage, or you're walking towards leaving the parking garage, that your glasses or the AI might know that, okay, if he's walking this direction, like, there's a 62% chance he's going to leave the parking garage. And then you could kind of then base other future things off of that. And then, there's another whatever percent, maybe that you go to pay for parking or something. And you could kind of like predict things based off of that. But think about it now like a robot. Think of like little like the Boston Dynamic like yellow 4-legged dog robot. If you put a camera on that, you just kind of let it loose, I guess, and maybe it could walk around and everything, but it'll have an AI powering its kind of decision making, maybe based off of where to go next, just based on predictions in its the physical world around them. But again, like I'm assuming this is going to be in like there's going to be other sensors on board that would help though, and if that's the case, then the Spot robot dog is already able to walk autonomously based off of just like LiDAR. The same things that power self-driving cars is, just checking its environment around it based off of like sensors, and it's like, if there's a chair in front of it, it's not going to walk in the chair because the LiDAR will detect, or the sensors will detect that there's a chair, instead of like having a LLM model predict that. Yeah, so interesting. Large geospatial models will help computers perceive, comprehend, and navigate the physical world in a way that will seem equally advanced, Niantic said. I found the following explanation on Niantic's blog of how LGM works to be the clearest. We'll take a look at the blog after. Imagine yourself standing behind a church. Let us assume the closest local model has seen only the front entrance of that church, and thus it will not be able to tell you where you are. The model has never seen the back of that building, but on a global scale, we have seen a lot of churches, thousands of them, all captured by their respective local models at other places worldwide. No church is the same, but many share common characteristics, and LGM is a way to access that distributed knowledge. This didn't even explain it well, though. The model has never seen the back of that building, but on a global scale, we've seen a lot of churches, thousands of them, all captured by their respective local models at other places worldwide. No church is the same, but share common characteristics. So can it approximate what it would look like? Yeah, that's what I'm assuming it's like, but like this doesn't really explain what it actually, it's like, okay, imagine yourself standing behind a church. Okay, I'm standing behind a church. I guess this doesn't really seem like what problem it's solving. It just doesn't really state it. It just kind of lists stuff. Let us assume the closest local model has only seen the front entrance of that church. Okay, and thus it will not be able to tell you where you are. Yeah, because you're at the back of the church, okay? The model has never seen the back of that building. But at a global scale, we have seen a lot of churches, thousands of them, all captured by their respective local models at other places worldwide. Okay, so it could tell you that you're in the back of a church. No church is the same, but many share common characteristics. Okay, let's just keep reading. That made no sense to me. Niantic's LGM builds upon its Lightship visual positioning system, which allows players to pin virtual items to physical locations in the world with centimeter level accuracy. For example, Niantic recently introduced an experimental feature in Pokemon Go called Pokemon Playgrounds, where the user can place a Pokemon at a specific location that will remain there for others to see and interact with. This feature, Niantic explains, is powered by massive amounts of data and is unique because it is taken from a pedestrian perspective from locations inaccessible to cars. That's interesting, and this seems to differentiate itself from self-driving cars in the sense that cars can't get there. And think about the existing data. Like Street View exists, and Google has coverage of a lot of streets, and they do have some hiking trails, but they don't have, a lot of physical non-car, like car accessible locations. So that's interesting. They do still have some, but I feel like Pokemon Go, Niantic might have some more. So that's interesting. Today we have 10 million scanned locations around the world, and over 1 million of those are activated and available for use with our VPS service. Niantic said, we received about 1 million fresh scans each week, each containing hundreds of discrete images. This data, Niantic blog explains, is collected from its games and Scaniverse, Niantic's app for 3D scanning objects and locations. All right, bro. Gone. All right. Scaniverse. So like this is so weird because now it just seems like anything you scan is just like they're just using it. So like you just think that you're getting this cool thing, this like cool 3D scan, but like realistically they just want the data. That's all they care about. That's why it's free. Like they've been playing the long con on us for a while. The AI gold rush of the last few years prompted a frenzied hunt for large data sets that can train generative AI models. Yeah. We've seen companies scrape text from the internet, YouTube subtitles, YouTube videos, books, and more with little consideration for the humans who created this data. Exactly. This is why I like 404 Media, though. This is what they cover. In this case, players of the incredibly viral Pokemon Go had no way of knowing that when they downloaded the game in 2016, that would one day fuel this type of AI product. Right, because it wasn't even really considered at the time. So in 2016, I'm sure in their terms of service, it didn't even mention AI, but it just said something about broadly using the data, which it's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But like, I think that if they kind of rug pull on you a bit, you kind of need to get a new opt-in or something, kind of asking permission. I don't know. I feel like in California, though, with the California Consumer Privacy Act, they would have to, it's opt-in. I feel like they would have to opt in. I don't know. It should come as no surprise that Niantic would now try to leverage its data in the AI space. As the company says, data from Google Street View, and various self-driving companies mean that there's quite a bit of data from roads, but Niantic's games have created a huge data set of where only pedestrians can go. Yep, exactly. Which is probably valuable right now. And it's interesting that they're choosing to develop the model themselves as compared to licensing it to other people, other companies who would then just use that data in their model to train it. So that's interesting, actually. It's an interesting choice. At the moment, the company says the data can be useful in a few ways, like other augmented reality products, but the way this data might help robots navigate the world is the most interesting, since robots that can navigate the real world do anything from deliver goods, food, to carry automatic rifles. Niantic did not respond to a request to comment about whether it had any limitations on who and how it would allow people to leverage this data. That's interesting. Interesting. Let's look at the blog post here. Is there any... is this how it's working? Relocalization. Estimate camera pose from a single RGB image. So this must be what the camera sees, and then it's trying to predict the space around it or something. I don't know. I don't really know what that was, honestly. If there's sound, it might help. Building large geospatial model to achieve spatial intelligence. Sounds fancy. Okay, let's lead more than 50 million. We have trained more than 50 million neural networks, more than 150 trillion parameters, enabling operation in over 1 million locations. Wait, who owns Niantic? Or like, I feel like Tencent is like has a large stake or something. Like, I feel like they're Chinese. Google. Oh, okay, they're not anymore, actually. Google own them? What the f... Oh, they're based out of San Francisco. All right, wow. Spun out of Google October 2015, soon after Google's announcement of restructuring. Announced that Google, Nintendo, and the Pokemon Company would invest up to $30 million in Series A, $20 million up front. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. What are the stakes? Secured an additional $5 million. Report that Niantic had raised an additional... Dude, they've raised a lot of money. NBA All-World, Monster Hunter Now. Wow, they actually have a lot of games. Oh yeah, the Harry Potter one. I didn't even know they had all of these. Or what's in the Ingress? (2016) to complaints from homeowners regarding trespassing and nuisance. I want to know who, yeah, what their, what percentages, or like who owns stakes in them. John Hank. We work at Google Earth. Led Google's Geo product division. That's so interesting. I never knew that. So it makes so much sense. It's like he's like a great fit, which include Google Earth, Google Maps, Street View, SketchUp, More. Yeah, I don't know what this is. He's the founder, CEO. Dang, that's interesting. All right. Large language models are having an undeniable impact on our everyday lives and across multiple industries. Trained on internet scale, collections of text, LLMs can generate written language in a way that challenges our understanding of intelligence. Large geospatial models will help computers perceive, comprehend, and navigate the physical world in a way that will seem equally advanced. Analogous to LLMs, geospatial models are built using vast amounts of raw data, billions of images of the world, all anchored to precise locations on the globe, are distilled into large models that enable a location-based understanding of space structures and physical interactions. This shifts from text-based models to those based on 3D data mirrors the broader trajectory of AI's growth in recent years, from understanding and generating language to interpreting and creating static movement images, 2D vision models, and with current research efforts increasing towards modeling the 3D appearance of objects, 3D vision models. So geospatial models will be the next. You think 3D models would I guess this is more like 3D, like in terms of a computer, like a computer asset. Yeah, geospatial models are a step beyond even 3D vision models in that they capture 3D entities that are rooted in specific geographic locations that have metric quality to them. Yeah, model learns from previous observations and is able to transfer knowledge to new locations, even if those are observed only partially. Yeah, I mean, it's just them predicting what it would be based off of what they could see. While AR glasses with 3D graphics are still several years away from the mass market, there are opportunities for geospatial models to be integrated with audio only. What? Geospatial models be integrated with audio only or 2D display glasses? Oh. It's like you have a pair of glasses that just like narrates where you are or something. These models could guide users through the world, answer questions, provide personalized recommendations, help with navigation, and enhance real-world interactions. Interesting. Large language models could be integrated so understanding and space come together, giving people the opportunity to be more informed and engaged with their surroundings and neighborhoods. Geospatial intelligence, as emerging from a large geospatial model, could also enable generation, completion, or manipulation of 3D representations of the world to help build next generation AR experiences. Yeah, this is where I see it being more useful. Beyond gaming, large geospatial models will have a widespread application ranging from spatial planning and design, logistics, audience management, engagement, and remote collaboration. I wasn't even thinking about gaming. They were thinking about gaming with AR experiences? This is interesting. Well, they have like 100% of Europe. Probably because Europe's more walkable, so at least Western Europe. Interesting. They have a lot of the East Coast. Niantic VPS is built from user scans taken from different perspectives and at various times of day, and many times during the years, with positioning information attached, creating a highly detailed understanding of the world. This data is unique because it takes from a pedestrian perspective and includes places inaccessible to cars. Yeah. We have 10 million scan locations with over 1 million of those available with our VPS service. You receive about 1 million fresh scans each week. Oh my gosh. Each containing hundreds of discrete images. And what's crazy is if they don't have an area and they want it, they can just put a Pokemon that's rare at that area and then they'll just get a shit ton of scans probably. Like they can literally control where they do and don't scan based off of using the game to gamify it. Like, bro, they've been playing the fucking Long Kong with this. This is crazy. This is like they've just been gobbling up all this data. Dang. Look at Verge's coverage. Building geospatial AI model based on Pokemon Go player data. Scans of the world from Pokemon Go and Ingress are the backbone of Niantic's AI models, which aims to navigate the world like ChatGPT spits out text. Niantic has announced that it is building a new large geospatial model that combines millions of scans from the smartphones of players of Pokemon Go and other Niantic products. AI model could allow computers and robots to understand and interact with the world in new ways. Who's this garbage day? Bro, what is this? What does he write about? Pokemon Go will power the murderous AI systems of the future. So here's something interesting. Niantic, the company behind Pokemon Go, published a long blog post last week outlining a new project they've been working on called Large Geospatial Model, essentially a large model, language model, but for visualizing and mapping physical space. Augmented reality products and robotics, the idea of mapping the whole world has been a big priority for Niantic over the last few years. Interesting. This is 2020. Our new feature for Pokemon Go that uses VPS. Yeah. Seems almost undeniable that this will not just power fun game mechanics, it's so incredibly 2020s coded that Pokemon Go is being used to build an AI system which will almost inevitably end up being used by automated weapons systems to kill people. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But I think we're a little ways out from that. Probably worth dropping a link here. The long-running surveillance conspiracy theories that have been following Niantic around since Pokemon Go launched in 2016. What? Oh, it's the Intercept too. Pokemon Go collects a lot of sensitive data. This is 2016. This is right after it came out. And its CEO, John Hanke, I assume it's Hanke, as it was embroiled in the so-called Y-Spy scandal, a global snooping incident at Google. Cool background. Interesting. All right, going down too much of the rabbit hole here. Niantic's chief scientist Victor this Prisakariu was more explicit in a 2022 Q&A, saying using the data of our users upload when playing games like Ingress Pokemon Go. We built high fidelity 3D maps of the world, which include both 3D geometry or the shape of things and semantic understanding of what the stuff in the map is, such as the ground, sky, trees, etc. Interesting. Yeah, as 404 Media pointed out, nobody who downloaded Pokemon Go in 2016 could have predicted that their data would one day fuel this type of AI product. Yeah, I feel like that's like the story here. Realistically, like it's them tricking users into playing a fun game and then using that to build something that they didn't know they were contributing to, which could then be used for morally or ethically dubious things that, again, they probably wouldn't, want to contribute to. Bro, this story's crazy. Actually, that's crazy. Like, it's just, I just feel like they just kind of tricked the players a bit. Like, I don't know. Jaguars now Jaguar's EV reset starts with perplexity. Interesting. But yeah, I don't know. This is crazy. I wonder what is going to come out of this, and I wonder who they're going to work with to use things like this. Because yeah, I guess like when you think geospatial, the first thing I think of is like military, like. I mean, I'm sure like surveying and things like that, but I don't know if that's really gonna be used in for things like this. Maybe for robotics. I mean, surveying for robotics is already a thing, so interesting. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what comes of this. See what comes of this. Okay. Speaking of AI, more AI. Hey, is this free? Can I read this for free? Okay. The Well, this seems like it's about China policy. It kind of is, but it's more about AI in the sense that we're actually falling behind a bit, or we're China's catching up a lot quicker than previously thought. And every year there's a large like review, like a panel reviews kind of like our military and the Pentagon's readiness and how we compare to other nations and such. And they've essentially said that we're falling behind and that we should make a Manhattan Project style funding and program for AI specifically, and specifically even more so AGI, like artificial general intelligence. Panel report on China's tech developments call for U.S. action on space and AI. A congressional advisory board is calling for urgent measures to counter China's rapid advancements in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnology, and space technologies. The U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, in its annual report released November 19th, highlights the Chinese government's state-led investments and techno-nationalist strategies as key drivers behind its progress in these critical sectors. Yeah, and the interesting part is like this techno-nationalist type of mentality, I feel like is going to start manifesting here in the United States, because I think we're going to want to centralize some of our power to be able to surpass, be more competitive with China. That seems to be a trend, maybe that like I've noticed being like, or that pattern of centralizing the power is it's talked about with China a lot, because China could snap their fingers and, you know, have a state-run corporation essentially, and then they could order them to work centrally, or, you know, pool resources together with other companies. And we can't really do that here in the United States, at least not in the same way. And I don't know, maybe we should start doing that. The report details how China has integrated cutting-edge technologies into its economic and military strategies. Among its 32 recommendations, the Commission urges Congress to prioritize space as a vital arena of competition and conduct a comprehensive review of the U.S. commercial space industry. Yeah, and this is big because NASA's funding has just kind of been like, they just don't get as much funding as we really should. Now that space is actually becoming more of a reality and more strategically important, especially in competition with China and the other kind of developed countries, we should seriously think about increasing space funding, like significantly, like double or tripling it, like NASA's budget. And especially as, you know, with the Trump administration, we're likely going to see a trend of commercialization or leaning on the commercial sector to solve a lot of our problems or look for advancements. I think I think we should still increase NASA's budget, just because we're falling behind a bit. And realistically, if we snap our fingers, we could be the number one, you know, space and AI and whatever, we could be number one. It's just up to how much the government wants to kind of push that on the private companies. But I mean, just look at the CHIPS Act, though. It's like, I mean, snapping your fingers is over exaggerating, but I mean, we wanted to be, you know, get going on making semiconductors domestically, and the government passed, you know, essentially a funding package that is more than the budget of NASA. Let's just put that in perspective. So, like, you know, we could do it if we wanted, I guess. And it's kind of just justifying it and making it an actual like issue that might affect the government, I feel like. And yeah, it also suggests the U.S. establish a Manhattan Project-like program to develop artificial general intelligence capabilities. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Trump maybe does something like this with, especially with Elon Musk being, you know, his little buddy, I guess. China's space advances, particularly in military applications, are key concern mentioned in the report. And it sucks because you could just say that you could use military as an excuse for funding. Like, if it has military applications, then, like, I mean, it's kind of a meme, but like it's also kind of true, where then the government will be a lot more interested in it. And it's with AI, it's already the case. As covered on the stream previously, as of 2023, August 2023, or from August 2022 to August 2023, 90% of the government's AI spend has been in the Defense Department and DoD. So yeah, it's that's just how it's gonna be. But as long as we see next order effects as citizens, like, from that, then that's good. But I don't know. The People's Liberation Army has significantly expanded its space-based surveillance capabilities, tripling its satellites in low Earth orbit and doubling those in geostationary orbit between 2008 and 2024. The assets include electro-optic imaging satellites, now provide near continuous coverage of the Indo-Pacific, posing a substantial threat to the US and allied operations. Yeah, I mean, there's not much we could do besides just launch more satellites. The report also discussed China's pursuit of counter-space technologies, including directed energy weapons and anti-satellite systems, which could undermine U.S. satellite networks in both peacetime and conflict. In response, the Commission recommends a reevaluation of regulations governing the U.S. commercial space sector to foster innovation, foster faster innovations while protecting sensitive technologies. Yeah, and I mean, they're going to lean on the commercial sector to kind of make stuff like this. And also, this is crazy because this is no, this is not the book I was looking for. Based on China attacking US. No, it's not invasion. Dang it. I can never remember the name of this book. But there's this book that I read, and it was essentially a near future, it was fictional, but it was written as if China was attacking the United States. And the thing that really put them ahead was their space weaponry, and they had like space lasers essentially that destroyed like GPS satellites and things that were critical for the United States to operate, especially our military. And then that allowed them to kind of fly in undetected and kind of start a war essentially. And this is like, it's like we're going towards that. It's like crazy. I actually have it on Audible. Pentagon urged to prioritize AGI. And it's crazy because AGI is technically still theoretical. And like the fact that, you know, like it's theoretical, but we think it could like be a thing is interesting. Ghost Fleet, that's the name of it. Oh, good reads on here. Here it is. Yeah, novel by next World War. Yeah, this is interesting. United States, China, and Russia eye each other across a 21st century version of the Cold War, which is suddenly heats up at sea, on land, in the air, in outer space, and in cyberspace. Fighting involves everything from stealthy robotic drones strikes to old warships from the Navy's Ghost Fleet. Fighter pilots unleashed a Pearl Harbor style attack. American veterans become low-tech insurgents. Teenage hackers battle in digital playgrounds. Silicon Valley billionaires mobilize for cyber war. And a serial killer carries out her own vendetta. Victory will depend on the blending lessons. Yeah, it's an interesting book. You like military novels, I guess. All right, Pentagon urged prioritize AGI. The Commission's call for a transformative approach to artificial intelligence is one of its most striking proposals. It recommends Congress create and fully fund a national program to develop AGI, an advanced form of AI capable of human-like reasoning and adaptability. If you've read the book Size, it's like the Thunderhead and Scythe. That one's a little more powerful, but yeah, that's what we're shooting for. While AGI remains theoretical, the report emphasizes the risk of falling behind China in this domain. Beijing's investments in AI span both civilian and military applications, raising concerns about the potential for AGI to tilt the global balance of power. The commission urges Congress to direct the Defense Department to assigning DX rating status to AI development programs, giving them top priority for funding and resources. That's interesting. I've never heard of this. The report reiterates long-standing concerns voiced by U.S. defense officials about People's Liberation Army's ability to disrupt U.S. military operations. Directed energy weapons, anti-satellite capabilities, and other counter-space technologies could severely threaten the U.S. satellites, including those used for communications, navigation, and reconnaissance. China's growing counter-space arsenal also targets emerging threats from commercial satellite providers whose services have become integral to the Pentagon operations. That's interesting. The report cautions that the PLA, People's Liberation Army, views these partnerships as vulnerabilities to be exploited. What's crazy? Interesting. Let's look at the Hill's opinion here. I'll be right back. Do I need to turn off the heater? It's getting too hot. One second. I always wear headphones, but most of the time I'm not even listening to anything, especially when I'm streaming. I usually put headphones on when I need to focus. All right, government commission, proposes Manhattan Project-style AI funding plan. Use congressional commission proposed a Manhattan Project-like. I wonder what this commission is, like who's on it. For funding of artificial intelligence and a larger push to stay ahead of China's technological advancements. Oh, here it is. Oh, 793 pages. Wouldn't expect anything less from the government. Let's be honest. I don't know why I'm even surprised. Is there like a index? I don't know who any of these people are. When was this published? What year? What date? November 2024. Okay, so this is recent. I might dive deeper into this, see if there's any more interesting things to extract. But realistically, if I had to guess, considering that all the reporting on this is focused on this, or this part, let's look at actually maybe this other source. No, not that one. Or we already have it open. Let's look at the foreign policy. Can I close this? Come on. Whatever. Our competition with China has become the biggest through line of a highly polarized Washington over the past decade, and a bipartisan commission that advises the U.S. lawmakers on China is calling for some drastic measurements to help the United States with that competition. Among the 32 recommendations from the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, so this commission was just for that. U.S.-China Economic and Security Commission's review. I wonder if there's like other ones like this. I don't want to read these. uscc.gov. Oh, this is specifically this commission. Okay. Report issued Tuesday. Recommended Congress yield broad multi-year contracting authority to the executive branch for AI, cloud, and data center for AI development. So, okay, so this is a much different perspective. Recommend Congress yield broad multi-year contracting authority to the executive branch. Okay, but like for AI, cloud, and data center companies for AI development, you know then that if this is the case, Trump would just give Elon Musk like a shit ton of money. Like, this seems so crazy now. I don't know about that. Congress was advised to establish and fund a Manhattan Project-like program dedicated to racing and acquiring artificial general intelligence AGI capabilities. Okay. Manhattan Project was government research that led to the production of first atomic bombs. Yeah. China has focused on developing emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, biotechnologies, and battery energy storage systems. Yeah, I mean, these are all paramount to like a more technologically advanced future, especially quantum and bio. I mean, battery too, honestly, because if we could store energy for longer periods of time, that changes a lot. The United States has similarly realized the importance of technology competition with China and has significantly altered the policy environment. However, if China manages to overcome these challenges, its rapid technological process threats U.S. economic and military. Its rapid technological process threatens U.S. economic and military, and may erode the deterrence and stability of the Pacific, as well as tip the global balance of power. Yeah, it sucks to be on the West Coast. War breaks out. Just kidding. Commission further advised Congress to direct Secretary of Defense to mark AI project with the highest national priority designation. That's what we kind of saw previously, like the DX. Oh yeah. Oh wait, was I reading this? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, the Treasury Department cemented a final rule Monday limiting those in U.S. from investing in certain technologies to China, building upon President Biden's executive order last year that blocked Americans from investing in Chinese sectors due to the chance the investments could improve the country's military intelligence capabilities. It's interesting. It's crazy. Contention between the U.S. and China has flared up in recent years regarding multiple issues, including U.S. government sanctions on Chinese citizens and officials, restricted imports of Chinese semiconductors, the debate over the Chinese-owned social media platform TikTok, and Taiwan. Yeah, Biden ordered the closure of Chinese-backed cryptocurrency mine near Wyoming near nuclear base. Holy shit. citing a risk to national security. That's crazy. Oh, my chat just got logged out of Twitch. U.S. SC is an independent agency created in 2000 to monitor, investigate, and publish a report to Congress on the bilateral trade and economic relationship between the United States and China. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this one. Seems to have some more outside of that. Among 32 recommendations from the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission's annual report to Congress, published on Tuesday, are revoking China's bilateral free trade privileges. That's interesting. Barring the import of technologies, including autonomous humanoid robots, from China, which is crazy because the robot market in China, just due to their manufacturing, market is probably insane. Like, the market's huge there. That's crazy. I mean, it's the same with those who make the machines to make chips. You know, their largest customer is China, and now can't sell information, or can't oh my god, I just accidentally closed out of all my tabs. Bro. It's the hill. All right. Oh, all right. Hopefully I don't need to read any of that. Bro, I swear I blocked this. At least the text. Expand it and then try and pick it. I wonder if that helps. No, it made it worse. Oh god. Oh, I thought it was gone. The commission argues that those measures, along with further tightening of export controls on Chinese technology and increased restrictions on outbound U.S. investments into China, are vital to winning a conflict that it says the Chinese Communist Party under President Xi Jinping will inevitably escalate, with few remaining avenues for dissent in a political system that demands absolute loyalty to the individual leader. It has become unlikely that anyone could dissuade Xi should he decide to take actions that risk igniting a catastrophic conflict, report says. Yeah, that's the scary part, is China in a way is not much different than Xi Jinping is not much different than Xi Jinping's relationship to China is not much different than Russia's relationship to Russia. They were just done in different ways, and he kind of gets what he wants. And so I feel like if maybe he might take a risk with like AI or something like that, or if China kind of becomes the first to develop this AGI, like there's no saying that he would use it for nefarious actions, to garner power, to punish citizens, whatever. I feel like that's kind of the scary part. Whereas at least if we have in a democratic country, if we don't like, the leader's way of handling things, there's plenty of ways to elect a new leader, and the people could kind of, speak and decide in that way. And I think that's kind of the important difference. Yeah. One of the commission's key recommendations is the repeal of China's permanent normal trade relations designation, which gives Beijing the same trade status and tariff exemption as U.S. allies. This, I mean, if Trump is going to follow through, this I'm sure will be gone. But it's going to suck for us in the United States. It's going to suck. Because, yeah, we're going to see how much, how reliant we are on the manufacturing cheap labor in China, essentially. Many in Washington say that China has abused those privileges, which were granted more than 2 decades ago when China was preparing to join the World Trade Organization, to flood the United States with Chinese goods, deplete U.S. manufacturing, and steal intellectual property. The commission echoed those concerns, also reflected in legislation put forward in the House last week by Representative John Moulinar, and advocating for more leverage to address unfair trade behaviors. Yeah, and I think though, like, it's all right to remove this, but like still, and not just slap like a fat 60% tariff on it or something, but remove this and pick and choose more, or kind of, you know, not punish everyone, but, you know, only where it matters, I guess. But maybe, yeah, don't treat them like an ally, but kind of just like everyone else. Yeah, because I mean, if it would be kind of weird if I mean, like, China should get that. I don't know. Yep, exactly. The move, this is so true. The move appears to be prime for the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump, who's repeatedly vowed to slap tariffs on a wide range of Chinese imports. But in a briefing with journalists in Washington on Monday, multiple commissioners stressed that their recommendations are agnostic on who occupies the White House. The commission's report was concluded in October this year, several weeks before the election. Interesting. That's fair. The commission, created in October 2000, comprised of 12 members who can be appointed by the Speaker of the House Minority Leader, or the President pro tempore of the Senate, upon recommendation from the Senate Majority and Minority Leaders, for a minimum 2-year term that can be extended. The current commission represents a mix of industry, academia, and government. This is interesting because I was curious as to who's on it, and we're kind of seeing now. Repealing PNTR provides the president. This is the permanent normal trade relations. Repealing PNTR provides the president with the authority to review and change China's status as most favored nation. China's status as most favored nation. It doesn't trigger an automatic increase in tariffs. Yeah, exactly, said Jacob Hellberg, one of the commissioners. There have been broad efforts underway on a bipartisan basis to reshore supply chains. A key to reshoring supply chains is increasing tariffs on Chinese manufacturing goods. Yes, but not to 60%, please. And well, this is true. It costs the taxpayers so much more money than it would if the government were to give some sort of benefit, tax benefit or something, to companies to onshore them. It just costs the taxpayers so much wasted money that could be used for way better things. That's kind of the issue. It's like, yes, this would, but it costs a lot of money to do that. Given Trump's often prickly relations with U.S. allies during his first term, including NATO and the European Union, many have questioned how multilateral export controls on China might fare once he returns to power. The Commission's report stressed the need for a clearly coordinated U.S.-led effort to build a coalition of like-minded countries to counter China. That's like a tongue twister. It's clear that many of the problems we discuss can only be dealt with effectively if there is a significant level of cooperation with our allies, another commissioner, Aaron Friedberg, told the reporters. According to his colleague Michael Wessel, however, drawing a distinction between Trump's rhetoric and his first administration's actions is also important. I'm a Democrat, Wessel said. There clearly was an impression that some have. I don't think there was enough credit for the engagement that did occur on things like Huawei to try and build coalitions. So I think it's important to not only listen on what's said, but to watch what's done. I think we'll find that the China challenge is going to be met with resolution on bipartisan basis. Agreed. And I think it is pretty bipartisan, you know, especially on China. I just think that Biden had a bit softer touch, and Trump's going to come in a bit more heavy-handed. And I think, I don't know what one's better or not, but I think the heavy hand just risks of having a bit more backlash. But to be fair, it might be needed. I don't know. I don't know like like how it will play out, but I guess the heavy hand is just a little more risky. Kind of ironic for conservatives. There are few arenas that animate China's concerns in Washington as much as technology, and AI has been a cornerstone of U.S. efforts to blunt Chinese technological process. The Commission views AI as unbridled arms race and advocates for the U.S. development on artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which refers to AI that's smarter than humans. The Commission recommended a government-funded effort along the lines of the Manhattan Project, which produced the atomic bomb, to acquire AGI capabilities before China does. Like, I do wonder, like, if we get it before China does, like, then what? I think maybe the idea is that we make it before China does, and then that allows us to speed ahead in things, like, really quickly, and kind of get, like, increase our gap now. Whereas, like, I'd like, even though we may get it first, China's not going to stop. So, like, okay, yeah, what if they make it too? What if theirs is better? Like, I don't really know. Like, once we get it, then what? The United States and China have sought to place guardrails around the use of AI in military applications, with President Joe Biden and Xi agreeing during a meeting in Peru on Saturday to restrict the role of AI in the use of nuclear weapons. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That kind of dialogue is a platform to discuss concerns and try to put forward what we think best practices are, Commissioner Randall Shriver said, but the reality is that both sides are racing. A number of the Commission's recommendations also focus on strengthening existing technology curbs on China, such as export controls on China, semiconductor industry restrictions, and outbound investments into Chinese technology that were put in place by the Biden administration. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like this is more of a softer touch, comparing to like 60% tariffs or something. Specific applications such as autonomous humanoid robots, the import of which the Commission recommends borrowing from China, were mentioned, as were specific sectors such as biotechnology. I don't think people realize how badly we are losing in the biotech space. Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I don't really follow the biotech space, but I guess that's interesting that we're like how far behind we are on that. And I wonder what that means, like what specifically like they're referring to. In that absence, some dramatic investments by the government to accelerate innovation in that space. And this is exactly where I'm saying, where it's like the government could snap their fingers in a way and have an industry take off. And the government just needs to fund more. But I think though the issue is that, conservatives generally Republicans want to curb government spending and put the hands in private sectors in the, in the market, put the hands in the market. But comparing, I mean, this is a bit of a stretch, but I mean, it's no different than having, someone like China be the first one to AGI. If a corporation has the first one to AGI, that's not a good thing either. I feel like, I really think it should be some sort of coalition or centralized, government who has control, at least, because it'll in a way be in the hands of the people. We could vote about who has like the president and stuff, who arguably could have control over it. Yeah, I just think having a corporation be the one just is not a good future either. That's going down the cyberpunk dystopia timeline. Trying to get to the solar punk one, the good one. Yeah, we're going to be in very dark places in the coming years. That's crazy. During a briefing on Monday, some commissioners critiqued the Biden administration's small yard, high fence approach that places strict restrictions on small base of emerging technologies. Yeah, soft hand. This is the soft hand. My basic view is that we're in a techno-economic war with China. And so as China increases the number of fronts on which it's waging war, that automatically has to drive and determine the different fronts that we have to respond to. Helberg said, we're not really going to be successful if we maintain a small number of yards that we want to defend ourselves against. That's interesting. That's a very interesting take, actually. Small yard, high fence. Yeah, we're really protecting only a few industries where realistically it should be a bit more broader, maybe. That's interesting. Techno-economic war. The Commission's report and recommendations reflect that perhaps the yards should be a little broader. Russell said the Commission's noted that their strident approach to curbing China's rise predates the hawkishness against Beijing that has come to dominate discourse in Washington and is driven almost solely by China's behavior in the global arena. The breakdown in dialogue, to the extent it's occurred, is unilateral and not shared by the United States, Russell said. There's a renewed engagement we all hope that will yield results, but have to be realistic about China's altitude and practices. Dang. It is interesting. I wonder what the, what we're going to do about it. What we'll actually take in and put a recommendation. People miss you on LinkedIn about, I don't know, trying to sell their service, I guess. Wrong person. All right, let's check out Apple now. We'll jump here. We had a good idea of that topic. Scoop. Apple is selling Apple News ads directly for the first time. This is interesting news because kind of been touting this on stream here, but you know, when Apple made that big change where apps can't track you across other apps, well, that was good for privacy. It was also just because Apple wanted the data themselves. They wanted to not, you know, they wanted to, I mean, this is a pretty big thing to say, but like they essentially wanted to curb competition. You know, they wanted to sell the ads themselves. They wanted the data themselves. And so they could just make a, you know, platform change and screw over every company who might have a business collecting data or selling ads on their platform. Well, and like, I mean, that's, well, I support that. It's no different because Apple just wants it for themselves. So it's just going to be Apple doing it now. And this is kind of the start of it. I mean, they've been doing it for a while, but they're starting to sell ads for themselves on Apple News for the first time. And they do already sell ads themselves for the App Store. But it's interesting because they're expanding now. They're kind of getting into selling ads themselves, selling ads directly, because they've been building out their team. They've been kind of, you know, working up towards this. And this is an interesting chart here, ad revenue for US tech companies. Now, Google and Meta up here, but Google and Meta are arguably advertising companies first. Google still I would consider, but they're a bit going down. They're going down a bit, but advertising companies. Amazon has huge advertising platforms, especially now that they have Prime ads on Prime Video, Amazon ads. They have or on Amazon they sell lots of ads. And then Microsoft has a surprisingly large ad network. I mean, think Bing, MSN, all those kind of like websites they have like that. And then LinkedIn, obviously, and LinkedIn is becoming its own beast. And then we have Apple way down there. And then I guess as we have Snapchat, because they're essentially an ad company. but they're just a lot smaller. It's interesting that they even put them on here, probably just a show. But yeah, Apple's still way down here for, you know, they're the number, like, essentially largest company in the world, arguably behind Microsoft and Nvidia, and they just don't have much advertising, but they're expanding, they're growing very slowly. Apple started selling its own advertising inventories for Apple News, two sources familiar rather told Axios. It's pitching new ad units that it hopes will maximize revenue for itself and publishing partners. The shift towards direct sales represents a significant milestone in Apple's advertising ambitions. Apple has been selling its own ad inventory in search and within its App Store for a while. Until now, it's relied on third-party vendors to sell Apple News ads, limiting the revenue potential for itself and the thousands of publishers that distribute content on the free version of Apple News. Yeah, because the publishers get a cut. Apple's pitching marketers on new ad units within Apple News feed and within individual stories on Apple News, Axios has learned. It's interesting. Beginning next year, Apple will sell premium sponsorships of editorially curated content for relevant events such as the Met Gala, the US Open, and more. Which is kind of like, I don't know, like, I think a lot of the events are outside of the scope of like what I watch. I don't really care about these events. The election one I think was an example, but even that one was just kind of whatever. I don't really use Apple News, so. In addition to premium sponsorships, the Apple News team is also pitching banner placements and video ads across 17 different formats, including carousel ads that feature different products. Advertisers will be able to sponsor specific feeds within Apple News should they wish to contextually align with certain topics. The new sponsorship unit will be soon be available as a banner ad at the top of the Apple News feed. Yeah, so publishers will get a 70% cut of the ad revenue sold by Apple within their articles, which is interesting. It's also interesting that Apple sells them within specific articles, because that is, I mean, they're getting a cut, but like that's interesting that they just could sell ads against someone else's work. I guess that's YouTube. That's what YouTube is. I mean, I guess that's what it's standard, but interesting. 3070 seems pretty standard. That's like their App Store, 30%. It seems high though, but I don't know. They'll get a percentage of the ad revenue sold by Apple within the Apple News feed, dependent on engagement with their content. Apple News publishers will continue to receive 100% of the revenue from advertising that they sell against their content in the app. I mean, obviously. The ads that Apple team doesn't sell will be left for third-party vendors to sell on its behalf. Yeah, and this is how it's worked for a while. Like, essentially, Apple had ads, but they just worked with, we'll see right here. They worked with third-party ad tech companies to sell the ads on their behalf. And the big news is that Apple's doing it directly now. Like, they're doing it themselves, which obviously it scales more, but I'm sure in the beginning it costs a lot more because you need to build out like sales teams and like, you know, stuff like that, and can't just do that overnight. The Apple ads that Apple doesn't sell will be left for third-party vendors to sell on its behalf. Yeah, Apple named ad tech giant Taboola as a resale vendor for Apple News and Apple stocks earlier this year. It previously worked with NBC Universal as an ad sales partner, but that relationship will be ending at the end of this year, a person familiar with Apple's plan said. A source at Apple is eyeing whether to bring on other resellers. Oh, here, this is what I want. This is July. Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of sucks though, because I guess like these just look at these apps. I feel like were previously just kind of basic apps that provide like, you know, just basic tools, I guess, for your phone, like news, stocks. Think about like just like notepad, clock, like all those kind of basic generic apps. I feel like they started off as just tools or things that help you, you know, solve a problem, and it came with the app. Like, you know, Google has their own flavor of all this kind of stuff, and then they kind of looked at it more as a way to make money potentially with ads, with whatever. And it kind of sucks now that even if maybe you want a more basic version that doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but you just don't want ads in it, like that, you just don't have that anymore. Like, you know, it's like everything's becoming this connected service, or as a product that you could sell ads on, when, like, I don't know, maybe you just want, you know, Apple stocks, you just want the basic stock apps like it used to be, where you could just check stock prices or the news, and it's, I don't know, now you have to see ads essentially. And since Apple is such a closed platform, you can't really do much about that besides not use the app. I don't know. And I wonder if there's an argument to be made that, yeah, while the iPhone may be staying the same or even becoming cheaper, but Apple's eating the cost, you're actually losing value. You're losing some autonomy and things in the things like the Apple News and Apple Stocks app, because I don't know, if I see it as like it's a worse product now that there's advertising riddled through it than maybe it was before that. And so even though, yeah, the iPhone might be staying the same, as a consumer, you know, there's other things you're giving up too. It goes both ways like that. I don't know. Apple has been quietly building a sizable ad sales team for months. The company hired Lauren Fry, a tenured streaming ads executive, to lead advertising for Apple TV Plus in 2023. Yeah, and like the streaming ad thing is a completely other like beast in itself too. Think of like Netflix and Prime Video and whatever. As their libraries get larger, they want to justify, you know, they could justify raising the price more. But what I feel like they're doing now is instead they're raising the price to be able, raising the price more artificially, so then they could make a lower tier one, which is driven by things like ads, or free one, which is driven by things like ads. And they don't really care that, you know, they might make more money on the ads one versus the subscription. And so they want to incentivize you to kind of maybe like not subscribe to the one and get the ads one. You know, and like there's an argument also to be made, I'm sure, for it allows more people to get access to the services and such for free or cheaper. But, you know, it's like we're paying in different ways. Like the consumer pays in different ways. We pay in our privacy and our, you know, giving up this data. Like, you know, we're paying with our own personal data for advertising. That's kind of how it goes. I don't know. I just hate advertising and how it's kind of consuming even these big tech companies now, when, I don't know, like make a good product and like sell it for money that people would want to buy. Or at least just not have it be so targeted, or give an alternative to not have the advertising. Or make the ads more tasteful. Make it so they're not as obtrusive and aggressive. I don't know. Fry also oversees the Apple News' ad sales team, which added Joseph Caddy, a longtime NBC Universal ad executive, and Renee Appel, a veteran publishing executive, earlier this year. Apple has dozens of advertising roles open on its website. That's interesting. Dang, yeah, 77. Well, the company Apple's invested more into growing its ad business as hardware sales have slowed. Exactly. Well, the company doesn't break out of its advertising revenue from its broader services. Broader services revenue, analysts estimate advertising makes up roughly 10% of that business. That's still small. In addition to advertising, Apple service revenue comes from subscriptions and transactions via products like Apple Music, iCloud, Apple News, News Plus, TV Plus, App Store, and Apple Pay. Apple's services business drives roughly $100 billion in revenue for the ad tech giant annually. I wonder what the... Oh, this is 2023. Yeah, so now it's roughly about 10 billion in advertising revenue. Advertising expected to reach right, 10 billion this year, according to third-party estimates from Group M and eMarketer. Yeah, Apple News is one of the most popular news apps in North America. Really? The UK and Australia, North America, the UK, and Australia, but publishers have mostly viewed the free version as a marketing tool, not a major ad revenue driver. But investing more in direct sales, Apple hopes to deliver more ad revenue to its publishing partners, which could motivate publishers to invest more in putting their content on the platform for free. Interesting. And I think a part of this too, in like, it may be overthinking, but I feel like sometimes the big tech companies just want to compete with they like essentially need to compete in things that they may not necessarily make sense, just to keep them on their platform and within the ecosystem. Think about Google News. Google News is much like larger, is much larger of a like product. More mature is a better word of a product than something like Apple News, and Apple News could only be used on, you know, Macs, iPhones. I don't think you could access it where else. Yeah. And so it's really just about keeping them on the platform. And so maybe Apple didn't necessarily want to expand things like this, but because Google is and stealing things away, Microsoft has MSN, I feel like they almost had to, just to keep them within the ecosystem. I don't know, maybe they didn't have to, but they're choosing to not lose market share for things, or to grow. But I also think part of it is really diversifying their revenue. Now that hardware is slowing down a bit, getting a little saturated, there's not really too many innovations on the hardware side. Nothing really to convince people to jump to the new iPhone every year. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and this essentially summarizes the Axios article. But their take on it, though, was interesting. So, yeah, this is the 9 to 5 Max take. Apple News recently gained some acclaim for its US election night experience, and it sounds like Apple may lean harder into special events-based coverage in the future, creating not only compelling user experiences, but also unique sponsorship opportunities. Yeah, but what I didn't like about this thing was that it forced you to have that on your home screen when I don't remember. I don't know. I don't want that on there. If like all these like awards and shit like that I don't care about are gonna be forced onto my home screen because ads, dude, I would get rid of my iPhone so quick. That's like Amazon Kindle shit, where it's like you could get a hella cheap Amazon Kindle, but it's literally like ads on your home screen and ads everywhere. Like, Apple already sells its own App Store ads, but otherwise the company's in-house advertising efforts have been fairly limited. Various hires have pointed to possible Apple TV Plus ad tier in the future. Yeah, this is 100% coming, but nothing has come to fruition yet. This is coming as soon as Apple builds out their advertising team, I bet. Because I feel like if they wanted to do it now, they would just do it now with a third party, kind of like they have been doing. And I think that they're building up to get this themselves. But my prediction, though, still is that they raise the price again. They raised the price earlier this year, last year, of Apple TV Plus. My guess is that they raise the price again, and then they introduce the ad tier. because I think a good chunk of people will still continue, and then the people who are like, I don't know, then they're like, oh well, just a free ad tier now. Like I'll just use that. I don't care. Hopefully, Apple's ad team can produce higher quality ad experiences inside Apple News. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, I don't know. If you're like, I at least want the ads to be good and entertaining, high quality, not intrusive, obstructive, aggressive. In any case, the company always looking to grow service revenue. This move makes a lot of sense. Yeah, what do you think about Apple expanding ad efforts? This is a good point though. Yeah, you can't pay for everything. But I do think paying for news is it's underrated. Yeah, and this is really the core too, is that it's not, it's just, this is why I feel like they're doing it just to compete. It's that, and the fact that News Plus isn't ad free is insane. That's insane. Like, what's even the point? Like, actually. But yeah, I mean, they're just doing it to compete with Google. Like Google News, I haven't been on it in a while, but it's like not that, it's pretty good. Like it's not that bad. And for one, I could access it from a computer that's not a Mac, so. New Apple iPhone. But yeah, I just don't think I just think it's lame selling ads. Like Perplexity. It sucks, but yeah. Going to the ad gods. And ads are fine as long as they're not like targeted, collecting, you know, personal information, collecting data, and they're not aggressive. I think I've changed on that, but most of the time, like these big tech ads just aren't like that. So, yeah, it's interesting. Interested to see how Apple will continue to build out its services and especially ads, and where else they'll put them next. Because, I mean, I'm sure they're coming in some other app, your Notes app, bro. Like, I swear, if they put like ads and shit like that, like that's the end. The end. All right, that's all I got planned today. Oh wait, actually here, quick little shout out. Shout out to old Tim Sweeney, but Unreal and Unreal Tournament are freely shared by the Internet Archive with Epic's blessing. It's cool. Epic Games gives a thumbs up to archive.org copies of Unreal Gold and Unreal Tournament Game of the Year, free to download for all. Oh, whoops. That's cool though. This is such a pro-consumer noob that I'm immediately suspicious. Yeah, actually. But that's cool. So yeah, go get that if you want to play some free retro games. This was the other story I was going to cover, but it's a little long. But the headline is interesting, I guess. Because yeah, robots are good at basic stuff, but anything advanced, we're not there yet. This just looks so funny, so interesting with the flags on the top, like that like Mario Kart game where you destroy the balloons. It's like a these like all have an iPad too. This is DHL, I just realized. I was wondering. But yeah, machines can load and unload trucks, move goods, and do other repetitive tasks, but are stymied by some like picking items from a pile. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, cover robotics more, different stream, but not today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Next week though, we're gonna be 10 a.m. streams. I'm gonna try a different time, see if it garners better results. We'll stream more until the afternoon here. Some of my logic though was like, I feel like tech workers just like work later too, and like, I don't know, we cover more technology, so if that's kind of the market, then maybe streaming later. But yeah, just gonna mix it up a bit. But thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow 8 a.m. still, but next week 10 a.m. And yeah, appreciate you tuning in. See you tomorrow. Ending.